Everyone, this is Dr. Anand Krish Tiwari from Department of Biological Sciences and Biotechnology, Institute of Advanced Research, Gandhinagar, Gujarat, India. First of all, I welcome you all for giving your precious time to attend my talk entitled Impact of COVID-19 Infection on Brain and Nervous System. As I said, I belong from University, Institute of Advanced Research, Gandhinagar. This university is basically located in the Gandhinagar, Gujarat, and was established with the aim to create excellence in research and education. I am, as a faculty, I am also involved in the research at this place, and my area of interest is to find out the molecular mechanism behind the neurological diseases. I am basically focusing on the Alzheimer disease and using the fruit fly Drosophila melanogaster as a model system. Currently, we are focusing on two genes. One is the sirtuin. Basically, that is there are many genes. As in human, there are 7 genes of sirtuin, and this gene is well studied in context to the aging and age-related diseases. Second gene is the MERO, a mitochondrial outer membrane protein, participates or plays a crucial role in mitochondrial axonal transports and energy requirement of the nervous system. So that these two genes are key genes that play a very important role in the majority of the disease. So coming to the today's topic, today I will discuss about the impact of COVID-19 infection on the brain and nervous system. So before I start, I request all the participants to mute their mic and headphone and request to ask the question at the end of the talk. So my talk will include what are the COVID-19 infection, what is the structure, mode of COVID-19 transmission, symptoms of COVID-19 infection, and its impact on the brain and nervous system. What are the case studies that suggest, yes, COVID-19 may be an important problem or may be a serious problem for brain and nervous system. How it can affect the brain, and what are the possible strategies that can be used to inhibit the COVID-19 infection in the brain. So I will start my lecture. So first, what is the COVID-19 infection? As you are aware that coronavirus disease 2019, popularly known as COVID-19, that is a viral infection and caused due to a severe acute respiratory syndrome 2. The virus becomes popular after the outbreak in Wuhan, China in December 2019, and it affects majority of the countries across the globe. And there are reports that it strongly and severely affect the respiratory system. There are few recent reports that suggest that it have potential to be the neuroinvasive and may affect the brain and nervous system of a infected persons. The disease has been declared as a pandemic. Pandemic word means it affects population across the globe by the WHO. As you know that coronavirus get their name due to their shape and spike-like projection like a solar corona. The virus has been evolved in different species and belongs to the previously reported severe acute respiratory syndrome COVID-5. And there is MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, generated in the South Korea. So this virus has been already reported. And the virus, coronavirus COVID-19, they have the sequence similarity with already known virus SARS-CoV-5. This virus has a single-stranded and have larger genome size as compared to the other known virus. And the genome size is approximately 30 kb. It is believed that the human infection of this virus was transmitted from the bat. And they have similarity with the already coronavirus available in the bat, that is RATG13. After the genome sequencing and similarity of the COVID-19, it was observed that this COVID-19 has approximately 96% similarity with the coronavirus in bat. So it's confirmed that the origin of this COVID-19 is from bat only. Coming to the structure of COVID-19, COVID-19 virus is a round virus and consists of 3 structural proteins named as spike protein. That is the very key protein, and that is responsible for the recognition of the receptor and binding with the receptor. And this protein allow the entry of the virus into the host cells, and this generate the host immune response. The envelope protein, this protein interact with the membrane protein to form the envelope, and the membrane proteins, they will interact with the envelope proteins and make the viral assembly. There's a, as I said, this is the RNA virus. So there is a protein in the nucleus, and they bind with the RNA, and that is known as nucleocapsid proteins. So see the structure, these are the spike protein. As I said, these are responsible for the binding with the receptor located on the host cells and results in the immune response. If we go to the molecular detail of the spike protein, basically this contains the three domains: ectodomain, transmembrane domain, and tail. Ectodomain is divided into the two domain receptor binding units. This unit is basically responsible for binding with the receptor available in the host cells. The receptor that is basically the ACE2, we'll discuss later. Membrane fusion unit, and this protein helps the binding or fusion of the membrane of the virus to the host cells and allow the penetration of the COVID-19 virus into the host cells. Now the question, how COVID-19 infection is spread in the humans. You are already aware, you are seeing daily message on the social media, internet, and news that virus can be spread variety of ways. It can spread due to the direct contact with COVID-19 infected person, through exposure of droplet of nose and mouth that expelled during the coughing, sneezing, and talking of COVID-19 infected person, or breathing in COVID infected air, contact with contaminated object, surface, and touching the nose, mouth, and eyes frequently, and kissing to the infected person. The ability of coronavirus to infect the human is because of its unique structure and strong binding affinity with the human angiotensin converting enzyme 2 that is available on the epithelial cell. I want to mention here that this angiotensin converting enzyme 2, this act as a receptor of the host cell and has a strong binding affinity with the coronavirus spike protein. And this is considered as the entry point of this virus to the host cell. What are the symptoms of COVID-19 infection in the human? You're already aware with this. That the symptom includes the high fever, dry cough, chest pain, tiredness, body pain, nasal congestion, headache, sore throat, loss of taste and smell, rashes on the skin and toes. This loss of taste and smell, that are the symptoms that has suggest that yes, there might be the involvement of the brain and nervous system, because they are regulated by the olfactory lobe. And these symptoms may not be seen in each individual's every time, because the symptom appears gradually, and sometimes an infected person may be asymptomatic, means you cannot see the symptoms but they are infected. And there are studies, they suggested that old age peoples are persons with medical history such as heart problem, lung problem, high blood pressure, diabetes, and cancer. They are more susceptible for COVID-19 infection. And there is a report from WHO, they suggest these things. So now the question is, do COVID-19 also infect the brain and nervous system? Answer is yes. So what is the basis of this answering yes? There are several post-mortem and clinical studies suggested that in addition to the respiratory tract and lung infection, COVID-19 have potential to infect the brain and nervous system. And what was the reason of saying this? Because the examination of the cerebrospinal fluid for the angiotensin converting enzyme 2 and COVID-19. The observation of a strong expression of angiotensin converting enzyme in cerebrospinal fluid, a post-mortem brain of the COVID patients, strongly suggests that COVID-19 can infect the brain and nervous system. So what are the case studies that support this statement or suggest that COVID-19 can infect the brain? So a study conducted in more than a third of 214 hospitals, patients suffering with the coronavirus in Wuhan, China, suggested that COVID-19 patients showed symptoms such as losing their sense of smell, taste, or vision. This symptom may not appear in day one, but slowly as time progress, you can see these kind of symptoms. And this finding is strongly indicate that virus might infect the nervous ending within the brain. Further, neurological conditions like seizures, stroke, damaged vision, and muscle injuries were found to be more common in patients with severely infected COVID-19. Scientists at Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, there is one scientist, Dr. Surjit Ghosh. His group has also suggested the neuroinvasive nature of the COVID-19 virus. Gaurav et al. 2020 has highlighted the loss of smell and loss of taste in infected patients. And they said that the loss of these smell and taste behaviors make the central nervous system and brain more prone for their for infection with devastating effects. Further, it has been shown that COVID-2 is known to interact with a specific human receptors, that is HACE2, human angiotensin converting enzyme. Basically, this is the receptor that is responsible for binding with spike protein and further consequences in the brain and other tissues. HACE2 expressed in most of the human organs ranging from lung parenchyma to nasal mucosa and brain cell. In a report from United States, there is a case of airline female worker who was admitted to the hospital after symptoms associated with the coronavirus such as fever, cough, and body ache. After the laboratory examination, the lady was diagnosed as corona positive. The other symptoms that lady shows was the confusion. Mind was not stable, lethargy, disorientation, means the altered mental state. Affected person may forget their name, their location, and others. Further, for molecular detail of the brain imaging test showed damage in the brain, and the lady was diagnosed for acute necrotizing encephalopathy. That is a rare form of brain inflammation that is usually seen in the children. A study by Zhu et al. A study by Zhu et al. Have demonstrated the presence of coronavirus from the brain of a patient who had exhibited the features of neurological deficit on 28 days of infection. And this strongly support that yes, COVID-19 may infect the brain and nervous system. Further study by Troyer et al. He have shown that this COVID-19 can be neuroinvasive and results in neuropsychiatric complication. Report of a patient with COVID-19 showed loss of the involuntary process of breathing that is controlled by the inspiratory area in the brain stem. A study by Wu et al. Have suggested that COVID-19 infection may result in onset of neurodegenerative disease. In same study, they have shown that out of 214 COVID-19 positive patients, 71 COVID patients showed neurological symptoms such as headache, disturbed consciousness in addition to the respiratory problem. So COVID-19 may involve the two pathways that includes the brain. early occurrence of loss of smell, ataxia, and convulsion should be the further evaluated for CNS involvement by the COVID-19. In the past outbreak with severe acute respiratory syndrome COVID-5, it has been shown that it targets the CNS. And the reports that the brain also is an additional target for COVID infection. And this raises the possibility of more patients with neurological manifestation in an outgoing COVID infection. Now the question, how virus enter into the host cell? Being acellular, this virus do not grow through the cell division, but it depends on the cellular machinery of the host cells and basically involve the 6 stages in their life cycle: attachment, penetration, uncoating, replication, assembly, and release of virus. So here in this pictorial diagram, you can see this coronavirus. This is the receptor and ACE2 receptor that is available on the host cells. This receptor will bind with the spike protein that is available on the membrane of the virus. And there is the fusion process, then endocytosis. Virus will penetrate inside the cell. After penetration, there is process that uncoating, and virus will remove their coat and release their genome RNA, hijack the host cell genome and start replicating. Then they will synthesize the protein, multiply their number, and by the process of budding or blebbing, it will release and infect the other cells. So these are the mechanism how virus can infect the cell. And as I said, after reaching inside the cell, virus will go through the process of uncoating and remove the caspase protein. Virus will remove the genome and it will go for replication. I already said this. Viral mRNA hijack the host cell machinery and will start making the new virus particles. The newly synthesized viral particle will be released by the budding or blebbing or lysis process of the cell and will infect the new cells. So entry of the COVID-19 into the brain. There are basically the 3 possibilities. Coronavirus can go through the nose, and that may infect the olfactory lobe. So first possible entry is through the olfactory lobe, because through the olfactory nerves it can reach to the brain. Second is through the bloodstream. As we know that blood is the media that flow throughout the body and provide the nourishment and the other requirements of the cells. So through the blood, coronavirus can easily enter to the brain. But yes, there is a blood-brain barrier. They may not simply allow the virus and other molecules easily to enter into the blood-brain barrier. I will say what the blood-brain barrier will do and how coronavirus will change the blood-brain barrier properties to go inside. Third is through the vagus nerves, it can reach into the brain. So there are 3 possibilities: through the olfactory lobe, through the bloodstream, and through the vagus nerve. So what COVID-19 infection do? They will induce the strong immune response, release the cytokines, and they will alter the blood-brain barrier and allow the entry of the COVID-19 into the brain. And as the COVID-19 will enter to the brain, that will result in the neurological symptoms and onset of the neurodegeneration. Coronavirus are one of the several virus families that are considered as neuropathological. The other viruses that infect the human brain include the human respiratory syncytial virus, HRSV, the influenza virus, and the human metapneumovirus, HMPV. As I said, generally the blood-brain barrier does not allow the entry of the most of the viruses into the brain, but sometimes respiratory coronavirus are able to cross the blood-brain barrier and find their ways. How the virus will do that? That is a question. So coronavirus, there is a protein, tight junction proteins. Coronavirus has capability to modulate the function of tight junction proteins and can enter into the brain cells. While the detailed mechanism how they cross the blood-brain barrier is not well understood, And there is other, it is believed that the main path of this is through the olfactory bulb. Other ways may be entry through the vagus nerves. From a molecular perspective, studies suggest that coronavirus infection results in the alteration of tight junction protein. As I said, tight junction protein, basically that is involved in the blood-brain barrier. There are different kinds of junctional protein. You might be knowing separate junction and adenine junction. These are the protein that helps in the intracellular communication between the cell. So this coronavirus will alter the property of that tight junction. The detailed mechanism is still not well understood. And once they get into the brain, they can easily reach to the CNS in less than 7 days and begin to appear in the cerebrospinal fluid. The structure of COVID-19 consists of a core and receptor binding domain that is involved in the recognition of the HACA2, human angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptor that is responsible for the infection. As mentioned, ACE2 is the entry point of COVID-19 infection and is available with many organs including the lung parenchyma, gastrointestinal tract, nasal mucosa, renal and urinary tracts, human airway epithelia, lymphoid tissues, reproductive organs, vascular endothelium, and also with the brain. Thus, it is believed that virus enter chiefly through the nasal mucosa or the gastrointestinal tract due to their higher expression of the protein HACE2. It is also reported that the brain cells have the also have the strong expression of this protein. It has been suggested that infection of olfactory neurons in the nose may enable the virus to spread from the respiratory tract to the brain. Once in the brain, coronavirus may cause the neurological disorder by directly infecting the brain or results in generation of the strong immune response. There is the reports that after the COVID infection, there is a generation of the immune response, and immune response itself is capable to cause the neurological diseases. They have potential to cause the neurological diseases, like as for example in the form of Guillain-Barré syndrome, a syndrome in which body immune cell attack on own body nerves. So that has been already studied. So brain inflammation might also indirectly cause neurological damage, such as through brain swelling. That is basically the encephalopathy. So we are talking more about the ACE2 protein, as this protein has key role in the virus recognition, binding with the spike protein and virus infection. So angiotensin converting enzyme 2, ACE2, is present in the several organs, as I said in the previous slides. And cells in the human brain express the ACE2 protein as well on their surface. The function plays a very important role in the regulation of the blood pressure. It has been reported as a receptor that is used by the virus to make their entry into the host cell. COVID-19 virus bind to the ACE2 receptors and alter the blood pressure and increases the risk of cerebral hemorrhage. Means release of blood into the brain cells. Further, COVID-19 spike protein have potential to interact with ACE2 protein of the capillary endothelium and may also damage the blood-brain barrier and easily enter into the CNS by attacking the vascular system. So, after reaching into the brain, coronavirus may cause the neuroinflammation of the brain, that is encephalitis, and neuroinflammation of the brain and spinal cord, including the spinal cord, that is encephalomyelitis. They can result various acute symptoms such as usual headache, fevers, febrile seizures, means sudden uncontrolled electrical disturbance in the brain. As you know that these electrical ion channels play a very important role in neuronal signaling. So they have potential. They can change this ion channel or the ionic condition of the nervous system. Status epilepticus, severe type of seizures, convulsions, muscle contract and relax rapidly, and loss of consciousness. So these symptoms may be arise after this infection. COVID infection may also result in demyelination. Demyelination, as you know, that myelin sheath that insulate the neurons. So COVID infection have potential to remove the myelin sheath. Some studies also suggested that they are gliotropic. Gliotropic means there are the glial cells. They are basically the neuronal cells, and they may alter the property of the glial cell function. And COVID-19 infection may cause the glial cell functioning and release the several sort of chemicals such as interleukins, which are inflammatory proteins, and chemokines, basically involved in the onset of the MS. Neurological symptom associated with the COVID-19 infection we already discussed, but the symptom that appears is the fever with high headaches. In early COVID-19 infection, neurological deficits such as loss of smell, loss of taste, ataxia, and convulsions, encephalopathy. So what is encephalopathy? Encephalopathy is basically the swelling of the brain, and using the CT scan images and MRI scan, the neurological manifestation of COVID infection have been recently identified. And it has been shown that COVID infection, they showed symptoms like necrotizing hemorrhagic encephalopathy. Acute necrotizing encephalopathy is a rare disorder leading to the brain dysfunction. And basically this is caused by the virus infection and results in the seizures, liver problems, and mental disorientation following the infection. The disease is characterized by multifocal symmetric lesions in the brain, which affect the brain stem, thalami, cerebellum, and cerebral white matter. ANA causes neuroinflammation resulting from the cytokine storm, characterized mainly by the production of the interleukin 6 that is secreted by the macrophages, which in turn have been activated by the granulocytes macrophage colony stimulating factor that is produced by the THRT helper cell. What is the possible ways or detection method of COVID-19 currently that is used? So first is the isolation of COVID-19 from cerebrospinal fluid that will help to show the neurological association. Identification or use of neuronal biomarkers in CSF, cerebrospinal fluid, or serum of the COVID-19 patients. It will be helpful to diagnose the cases of the COVID-19 with CNS involvement. Isolation, and this may be the future strategy to get the therapeutic treatment for the virus also, if we get identify some biomarkers that by observing the elevated level of the biomarker, we can know the severity of the COVID-19 infection. So it can be a future strategy to see the infection rate. Isolation of COVID-2 from CNS in the COVID-19 patients, and neurological imaging, MRI or CT scan that will give the details of the damaged part in the brain of COVID-19 patients. So what are the possible strategies to inhibit the COVID-19 infection? So first can be the use of broad spectrum antiviral. What we are saying that may not be 100% fruitful, but these are the possible strategies. Use of the broad spectrum antiviral that will inhibit the viral growth. There are few as ecoclovers, famciclovers, and others. Use of RNA dependent RNA polymerase inhibitors. and these may inhibit the replication of the virus and may not allow the growth of the virus and further infection. Use of anti-fusion agent that may inhibit the attachment of virus to the host cells, and by that way we can control the growth of the virus and further infection. Use of immunomodulators. As we know, the chloroquine and hydroxychloroquines are used for the treatment of coronavirus. Basically, this increases the pH within the lysosomes and has the capability to impair the viral transit through the endolysosomal pathway. Next strategy is the development of vaccine. That is we are waiting for that. We will get the vaccine and cure the patients, corona patients. So basically, the target molecule is again the spike protein. So vaccine can be the target to the spike protein to stop the spread of the virus and inhibit the viral growth. Use of the phytochemicals. As we know that our traditional medicine have a strong to cope up with many diseases, control the many diseases. A recent study is the Vithenone from the Withenia somnifera, and use of flavonoids and non-flavonoids have been shown to inhibit the viral growth. As plants are rich source of the various compounds having good antioxidant property used for several health benefits and for the treatment of several diseases, including the viral disease. Several plants such as Bohriva diffusa, Eclipta alba, Phyllanthus ambrus, and others have been reported to possess the antiviral potential. So identifying the plant compounds that can alter the ACE2 receptors responsible for binding with the spike protein of COVID-19 may be helpful to alter the disease pathology. Vithonia semnifera, just I said, this a study by the Acharya Balkrishnan group from Patanjali Research Foundation. They have shown that Vithenone from Withenia somnifera have potential to inhibit the coronavirus entry by disrupting the interaction between the viral S protein and ACE2 receptor binding. Further, Rane et al. 2020 have shown that use of flavonoids and non-flavonoid might be helpful to alter the COVID-19 disease pathology. So, use of the phytomedicine or the plant-based compounds may be a target molecule to get the cure of this virus also. So my conclusion is, as currently we don't have any proper cure for the coronavirus and the pathogenesis of COVID-19 is not well understood, so there is an urgent requirement to identify the neurological impact of COVID-19 infection in patients and other patients, though they are patient, but they don't have any sign of the neurological damage. The current treatment is mainly based on the symptoms, and we hope that the pathogenesis of the virus will be clear in due course of time, and we will have the better and targeted treatment for the COVID-19 infection. Presence of neurological deficits followed by the laboratory tests like serum urea, creatinine, electrolytes, and blood gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide can be helpful in the determination of the primary or secondary involvement of the CNS in coronavirus infected patients. So it is important to be aware of the possibility of neurological manifestation of COVID-19 for during acute illness, as well as possibility of the long-term effect. Though the patients has been recovered with the coronavirus, but they have the possibility for the neurological damage. There is a report. So the detailed understanding of the virology of COVID-19 will be helpful in order to design the therapeutic strategies to combat the disease. With this talk, I hope I was able to convince you about the impact of coronavirus on brain and nervous system. there is a challenge of the COVID infection in the nervous system. So with this word, I thank you, and I would like to thanks for your time, and would like to conclude with this Sanskrit slok. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सभी लोग सुखी हो, सभी निरोग हो. Thank you. So I request for question and suggestion. Is there any question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. I just want to ask, like, that means that the recovered patient have also still, if they are recovered, that means they have the chance of developing that neurological disease even after they have been recovered.
Yeah. There are possibility, and there are studies. They suggested that yes, they are prone for the again for neurological damage, and they may have the problem in later age.
Later age. So maybe they
Yeah.
are not showing the symptoms right now, but later on.
Yeah.
So there is any treatment or what can be done for such patients?
Till now, we don't have any treatment, and we are looking for that. But yes, we can suggest only the phytochemicals and based on the phytomedicines. That may be helpful to boosting the nervous system. And as we are known that if there is a damage in the brain part or nervous system, it is very tough to recover and to normalize that thing. So if COVID-19 infect to the brain system and the patient has been recovered, but still lesions are there. So there is a possibility of the future problem.
So that
Yes.
means that recovery cannot be considered as like 100% recovered.
Recovery means they are still live. That is one recovery. They save their life, but they have the challenges in the future also.
Okay, another question, sir. You said it can enter through blood vessels. So how do it enters? So that means it can also enter through blood. The infection can be through blood or any other body fluid.
Yeah. Blood is the major. As I said, that is the means the media that flow overall the body and take care of the nourishment requirement of the body cells. So if the COVID-19 in the blood, that can easily cross to the blood-brain barrier and go to the brain also.
No, from one patient to another patient, can it be transferred through blood or any body fluid?
Yeah, if there is a transfusion of the blood, that can be transferred. Yeah, there is no means it can be transferred. Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, this is Mahima Raval. Sir, I wanted to ask whether COVID-19 continuous infection can lead to neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's disease, because if I can relate, it has demyelination, which is there in Alzheimer's. Then it is reported that it has neuroinflammatory conditions, which is again reported in Alzheimer's, and even the acute necrotizing encephalopathy. It is written in this that secretion of IL-6, which is again reported to be present in Alzheimer's disease. So can we relate that this condition might lead to Alzheimer's disease in future if the onset of the virus is there in the blood, but it is not showing the effects, or after recovering the respiratory issues, it can affect the brain in future?
Yes, there is a possibility, and even there is a one paper also. They have shows the possibility of the being the Alzheimer's disease, because these are the what you said the molecules. Yes, they can infect. There is a possibility.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much for giving us such wonderful speech about COVID-19 in Johnson Watson. I just want to ask you one question: that how does ANE, that is affect in normal adult?
Sorry.
Hello, am I audible clearly?
Yeah, please speak little bit louder.
Oh, sir, I'm asking that how does acute necrotizing encephalopathy affect the normal adult human being that is caused by COVID-19?
Actually, what I acute there is a one paper, because the coronavirus is not a new virus. There, if you go to the net, and you will find that this is the old virus, and this 19 is, there are some change in their structure. Okay, so that report, this what encephalopathies you are talking, that is the earlier report, but there are possibilities that this virus create some changes in the genetic mutation, and that lead to the onset of this problem.
Thank you very much for the efforts. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. This is Bijay.
Bijay, please.
Sir, my question is, because we are suffering and hear a lot of the COVID all the time. Being a neurologist, what you can suggest us and the society, and how will we care about the neuro point of the view about the virus, neurological damage, heart, kidney, lungs? Everybody is saying all the time. So how we can manage, and what we can do, and what is the next step? Because the 2-month lockdown, and we think all these things is going slowly down, and how we can boost a neurological point or other things. So you can suggest
Vijay, the only ways we have to improve our body security, means improve our immune system. So that is the only way that we can do that, because these virus, if you are strong enough, your immune system is strong enough, you have less chance to be infected.
Sir, okay. My concern is, everybody is talking about the immune system, boost the immune system. So is there any way, because for me the immune system is, for example, if you have the infection of the COVID or SARS, then you have the antibody. If so boosting the immune system against the SARS, yeah, any of the things we are boosting. So how the immune system can trap, especially the COVID patient, yeah, SARS, because we don't have antibody, because we are not infected at all.
So yes, we don't have any cure, but I will suggest the phytomedicine. There are many plants, there are plants, they don't have any viral infection. So that may have maybe a therapeutic target for the designing the drug. If we take or we use that plant compounds, that can boost the system, or we can go for the whatever already known that these plants are plant-based component can be good for the health, boosting the mental and physical power. That can be one way to improving these things.
So this plant, it has the antiviral activity, or
there are the plant, they have antiviral activity, they possess the antiviral activity. And there are many plants, they have very good, strong activity for the neuroprotection also. So that can be used, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vijay.
Hello, sir. I am Dhruti Patel. My question is, आपने ऐसा बोला कि ACE2 जो रिसेप्टर जो होस्ट में होता है, उस पे स्पाइक प्रोटीन बाइंड होता है और उससे वुमेन्स अगर कोरोना बढ़ता है, तो हम ऐसी कोई वैक्सीन नहीं बना सकते जिससे ACE2 रिसेप्टर है वही ब्लॉक कर दे, तो कोरोना के स्पाइक प्रोटीन वहां बाइंड ही नहीं हो सकते?
Dhruti, that is a very good question, and that is basically the strategy to inhibit the growth of virus. Basically, as I said, Dr. Balkrishnan, means Acharya Balkrishnan from Patanjali group, he has shown the plant compound, they will inhibit the binding of this ACE2 receptor with the host viral spike proteins.
Okay.
But that is the one way to inhibit the growth of the virus. Yes, you rightly said, that is the way.
सर, दूसरा एक क्वेश्चन था मेरा कि ACE2 रिसेप्टर जो होता है वो हमारी बॉडी में पहले से किसी और से बाइंड हो, वायरस प्रोटीन से नहीं पर किसी और से बाइंड हो, तो हमारी बॉडी में कोई इम्पैक्ट हो सकती है?
There are n number of receptor, ACE2 receptor, and they are available in most of all the epithelial cells.
Okay.
Okay, so that is not a single receptor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, myself Kiran.
Yes, Kiranji, please.
Sir, my major concern is is skin is also one of the medium of transmission of the disease?
Sorry. Please speak louder.
I'm saying is skin is also one of the medium of transmission of the disease, because nowadays majority of the doctors, they're all using this PP like suits. And we are also seeing in Mumbai, there are so many police, like police persons, or in the near future, we may also go to our workplaces where is the recommendation of PP, to wear the PP to protect our skin is also like, that is also one of the concerns.
Yeah, that may be a concern, because if you see the skin, there are there are many pores. So maybe there are some pores, there are some injury, we cannot see in the skin, but they maybe virus can go in contact with the blood. That may be one way by infection, possible infection.
So PP production is one of the major target, supposed to be like major target.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. This
Hello.
is Dr. Anusya Bhadarkar from GSBTM.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wanting to know, you mentioned that the extracts from ashwagandha, they have the potential to alter the ACE receptors.
Yeah.
Right. So does it alter, or it goes and binds to the ACE receptor and does not allow the virus to bind?
Actually, there is a report from Acharya Balkishan. In his paper, he has shown that this will inhibit the binding of this spike protein with the receptor, ACE2 receptors. So that will inhibit basically the binding of this receptor.
And this inhibition will be all through the body, wherever the ACE receptors are there.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Kindly explain again the relationship between COVID and skin.
Sorry?
COVID and skin.
Yeah, actually, the relation I can suppose the skin, there may be, as you know, that there are pores on the skin surface. So if the person is infected, or as you know that there is a one way of virus infection by touching the COVID infection object or substances. So if you are touching any object that is infected with the COVID-19, and is there if there is an injury in your skin, that virus may go to the bloodstream. So that may be one way of infection. So there is no direct report, but that may be the possible route.
So then what about this mental illness nowadays? You see like issues like suicide, since you're talking about the brain. So I just want to know how, these psychological issues also, since you're studying biotechnology and neurology,
Yeah, psychological issue, that is a very big and challenging problem. For that means one have to take care of that patient who have the psychological problem, because it's not very easy to make the boost the psychological sick person. So I think we have to discuss with some psychiatrists who can get some ways that can be useful to improve the mental status of the infected person. But yes, if a person is infected or they have some problems, they will demoralize and they can do suicide and other things. So,
hello, sir.
hello.
Sir, Shivani Sagar.
Yeah.
Sir, actually, I wanted to. You said.
I'm not able to hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's what Shivani Sagar.
Sorry. Shivani, please speak again.
Sir, actually, I was saying that you told the virus can pass through the blood-brain barrier, right?
Yeah.
So, this blood-brain barrier, sir, only lipid-soluble particles can pass through it. So is the virus lipid-soluble or not?
Yeah, actually there is a protein, as I mentioned, that tight junction protein that
Okay.
take care of the entry of the molecules to inside the brain. So this
Okay.
virus will alter the property of tight junction protein and
Okay.
get able to reach to the virus inside the brain.
Okay. Okay,
So
sir.
that's
Sir,
the case.
one more question. That as you told that Sir Balkrishnan from this Ayurveda, he
Yeah.
has told that we had got some medication for this virus. Then why are we not applying that, sir?
Actually, you see there a number of papers. Okay?
Yes.
So there, that is the basically you are doing the research. You have got this observation. You reported that. Okay, and you have to produce. You have to go for the drug development, and that plant can be used. Might be they are using. That's why they are saying. You might be
Okay.
heard that there is a development of vaccine in the Oxford University. They are
Yes, sir.
testing on the monkey, and they may be for the in the market. But it take time. It take time. There are
Okay.
label, you have to check those vaccine or those molecule in different labels, then only you can go to the
Yes.
market. So
Yes.
that may be one
Okay,
way.
sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, myself, Dr. Meghna Advaryu.
Yeah.
I'm from Government Science College, Makal, Surat.
Yes.
Sir, about you talked about that Vidania somnifera, about the
Yeah.
Balkrishna.
Yeah.
They have studied, I have read the article that they have mentioned in the newspaper of, I think, Indian Express or Times of India.
Yeah. They publish in NCBI also. Yeah. There's yes.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it is an in silico study
Yeah.
that they have done.
Yeah.
So I just want to know that because in silico study is not 100% even correct in vitro.
Yeah, yeah, but that's why I'm saying there's a number of tests, means you a number of labels. As I am working with the Drosophila melanogaster, that is a fruit fly, and we have published the paper like as the Vinca rosea and spirulina, and there are other plant compounds that can be used, have the potential as a neuroprotective compounds. So
Yeah.
that is the second level, means they have given this initial information, and that can be tested in the other models like invertebrate or vertebrate models. So, but that is the indication that they have potential to inhibit the COVID-19 infection. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It was
Thank
very
you.
nice talk. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. My email ID is wrongly written. It's anandk.tiwari@ir.ac.in. So please, sorry me. Any other question?
Sir, this is Kiran, sir. As
Yes.
one of the ma'am, she is asking about the implementation of the drug discoveries, what actually they actually discovered and how it is not reaching to the people, public. But nowadays it is seen like in the state of Gujarat, like Ahmedabad also. I'm staying at Karol. So the government basically giving this homeopathic and Ayurvedic medicines. And morning only, I just attended one more talk from the MIT where they are actually connecting the Ayush persons, like Ministry of Ayush, with the public. So they mentioned like they are actually trying hard for this kind of like corona patients who are admitted in the hospitals, and they're giving the Ayurvedic medicines, and they have seen most of the patients they got negative also. So is there any such kind of data is available with us also? Or
Actually,
any idea?
I have not seen this data, but there are few papers. This area is not much explored, and
Exactly.
but there are papers are coming, and don't know, means maybe in future we will get the detailed picture.
Exactly, sir.
But
And they
yes.
mentioned one app also, sir, that is Ayush Sanjeevani. So
Yeah.
they are just collecting the data right now. And
Yeah.
that's what one of the information, sir.
But no doubt we can use our traditional system that will be helpful to make better condition. That is the only we can say it right now, because we don't have any fruitful drug for this problem.
True, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
Hello, Mahima, bolo.
Sir, yes, sir. Again, I have a doubt that can we use the neuroprotective medicines which are already in the market to avoid the conditions like neurological deficits? And because I have read that some of them also has
You are
the
talking about
antioxidant.
the neuroprotective plant-based medicine, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then there's
Plant-based
no harm.
medicine.
Then there's no harm. You can use that. Yes.
Sir, because they have the anti-inflammatory and also the antioxidant
The
properties, which
best
might
thing
be
if you are
helpful.
using the plant-based compound, they are very
Yes.
rich in antioxidant compound.
Yes.
So that will build up, improve the cellular defense system, which increase the SORT, CAT, GST, and other antioxidant enzyme system, and that may be helpful to boosting the immune system. Yes, that's true.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you. If there is no more question, I thank you all for giving your precious time at attending my talk. Thank you. Thank you.